So continuing where I left off, I can enter in data values, have them counted, use that to create a location and value that's stored in iTable. Now to make this a little bit better, I want to store notes that I'm playing from MIDI keyboard. Okay? So first thing I'm going to do, unlock the patch, go back in here, and I want to increase the range, what data can be stored, and increase that to 128. I want to be able to store the entire MIDI range in my table. So now values look much smaller. I can make this a little bit bigger, so at least you can see them a little bit better. But I have the full 0 to 128. Go through so you can see it. Up to 127, down to 0. Okay. Now, getting notes from the MIDI keyboard, easy. Let's do note in and strip note, pitch, velocity, always need both. And now instead of typing my Y values, any note on message gets passed through. It'll be counted, and I can record. So play middle C, and I did not get my MIDI keyboard connections acting up a little bit. I'm going to unplug it and plug it back in. Here we go. Now I picked up where the counter left off. That's okay. But I can play notes. Go down an octave, go up a couple octaves as I wrap around, and it keeps storing. So that's great. Now, any MIDI note I play gets stored. It's being counted. It's being stored into the pack. It's being counted, getting sent to the iTable. Easy enough. Now, what I'd like to do is make this even a little bit better, because say I want to store notes, but I maybe want to store sequences of notes of different sizes. So maybe 10 notes sometimes, or maybe 2 notes, maybe 5 notes. I want that to be completely up to whatever I play. And every time I start storing notes, I want to store at 0. So going back in, selecting a table, I'm going to increase the table size to 20. I doubt that I'm ever going to store more than 20 notes as a kind of musical gesture or chord. So a lot of the table may not get used, but that's okay. I'm going to need to do a couple things. I need to specify when I'm recording and when I'm not recording. Can do it from the keyboard with, say, a space or an R. I'm going to use the sustain pedal on my MIDI keyboard. So let's bring this in. And over here, I'll put a control in. And the sustain pedal, by definition, is MIDI controller 64. So assuming that the manufacturer is following specification, I should be able to hook up a number box. And if I step on the pedal, it's on. It's a 127 for value. Let go, it's off, it's 0. So remember that just my mic, remember that the sustain pedal is a switch. And so it usually has 2 values, 0 for off and some non-zero value for on. I think by definition it has to be at least 64 to trigger an on for some device to interpret it that. Most will be 127 for on when the pedal's down and 0 for off. Now we can use that to set up a gate. So we're going to unlock. I'm not changing any of this. I'm just making it a little more compact. Strip note's going to go into a gate. Now I'm going to use just a regular gate object this time, which will open and close the right inlet, depending on the gate control. got two inlets. You'll see that the left is cool in this case. It's a control inlet. The right is hot. I'm going to hook up my node on to the right inlet, and I'm going to control the gate with a toggle that is controlled by my foot pedal. And the gate's going to interpret a non-zero number as opening the gate, and a zero number as closing the gate. So I can hook the output of gate into here. And if my gate's on, I should be able to play, and notes are coming through. It's still only going from 0 to 9 because I haven't changed my counter to 19. But if I let go, now it's off. Make this a little closer. Now anything I play is not passing through. I'm playing notes now, and you're not seeing any change here in the Y value. Okay, so that works. Got a little gate control. Let's change the counter maximum to 19. And we also want to reset the counter. So right now the counter is at 2. If I start recording again, it's going to start recording at location 3. Oh, because I retyped the number counter reset. So let me stop. I play notes. I'm at 5 now. Now if I start recording again, it's going to be at 6. Okay. So whenever you change the argument to an object, you have cleared the object's memory and created a new object. But so now it picked up where I left off with recording. I want to have it always start recording at 0. So I can add a little bit more control. So when I stop recording, I'm going to let go of the foot pedal, the sustain pedal. It's going to output a 0 value. That's going to turn the toggle off. It can also reset the counter. Now I could do this in a couple ways. I could do a split so that 1 to 127 would come out one outlet and 0 would come out the other. But any negative number could pass through split in that kind of argument case. And so the program isn't bulletproof. I want to make bulletproof programs from the get-go. So I'm going to do select 0. Now when 0 is the input, it's going to output a bang. I'm going to have that bang send a message object typed with an M of 0. And that is going to go to the third inlet so that it resets the counter to that number on the next clock. By using the message, only 0 can be sent to the counter. It can only go back to 0. That's it. Now, I'm going to do this again. So I've lost my MIDI keyboard again. A little bit of a buggy day. Put it back in. Okay, now it's on. Now it's off. You saw it flash. So now the next time I start playing, it is going to start at 0. And I just press down again, so I'm going to play some notes. Just minor 7th chord starting on C above middle C. I let go, and it's recorded that. Now if I do it again, let's come back down an octave, or 2 or 3, start recording. And recorded a 9th chord starting on D, and let go. So it started at the beginning. And I'm just kind of ignoring this stuff, and that'll be the next part of the video. I'll kind of show you now if we want to complete the patch by hooking up a Metro object that plays. What are we going to do? So let's stop there. We'll start with part 3.